Oh, phew. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is gonna be a little bit different video. Um, so I realize that we've shown you guys video clips and we've shown you bike builds, but one of the things we've never really done is we haven't shown you how to do maintenance on your bike, and I think that's just as important as getting to see all the riding and all of the new bikes that we build. Is how are we maintaining those bikes and how are we keeping them running after we pitch them and throw them and crash on them and all that stuff. So we're going to do that today. We're going to do a quick little maintenance. Oh, I ran into an issue on the new build actually. I think the bottom bracket is creaking. I have a creaking noise every time I crank, and so I'm going to show you guys how to diagnose and eliminate those creaking noises that you find on your bike. I'll show you a couple other places where you might notice some movement or some creaking noises and what you might want to check for, but I think this one's the bottom bracket. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you guys how we're going to take care of that and get these bikes dialed back in. If you know anything about me, I like all my bikes to be perfectly dialed, no noise, no movement, none of that type of stuff. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into this and we're going to show you how to eliminate a bottom bracket, creaking noise. Here we go. Alright, first and foremost, crack open a drink because it's going to be a little bit of a morning here. So if you guys haven't had those, the iced tea of the Monsters are super good, but not endorsing. I just really like them. They don't pay me anything. They don't sponsor me, nothing like that. But hey, anyways, what we got here are all the tools that we're going to use to do this. Lubricant, crescent wrench, Allen wrenches, socket, all that fun stuff. Hopefully I'm still in the shot here. I'm doing this on my own today, guys. It's just me, so please excuse any of the movements. I'm going to show you the creaking noise and hope that you guys can hear it, and that way you can diagnose it yourself. So let's go ahead. We're going to get over here and we're going to get this bike on the ground and take a look at it. All right. Well, I tried to get the recording of the creaking noise so you guys could hear it. I couldn't get it to catch with me trying to crank on it and hold the camera in a good position so you could hear it and see it. But we got the bike up on the stand. Basically what was happening, guys, is every time I'd push down on this front pedal, it would make a shifting, almost a creaking noise. I think it's right here in the bottom bracket, and I think I forgot to put lubricant on those threads when I built this. I was super excited for building it. I'm going to guess that that's my issue. Hey, a couple quick things. I'm going to show you a couple other things that I did to make sure that it was indeed the bottom bracket and not another part of the bike. One of the things I did right back here is the bolt for the chainring. I checked on that, make sure that that was nice and tight. Make sure the chainring itself wasn't shifting when I was pedaling. So you can see it right there. That was good. That was nice and tight. So we know it's not that. So now that we knew that it's not the chainring bolt itself, the next thing I did was I went ahead and I checked the pedals. Right back here, this one works off an Allen wrench. You can see that there's no slots for putting a pedal wrench in there or anything like that. It's an Allen wrench that goes in right back here. It was a 6mm. I went ahead and I took a look at that and made sure that that's not in there. I'll show you guys that real quick. It was just basically one of these little guys. Goes right back in there. Basically, I just cranked that down, make sure that those were nice and snug on both sides. So it wasn't the pedals that was shifting, which is good. So we moved on to the next thing, and I'll show you that here. Alright, so we're back here at the back of the bike. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wheel off, and I'm going to check and make sure that that whole system right here, it's not shifting while it's on the bike, which is good. I just want to check and make sure that all of this stuff is nice and snug. Make sure there's no play or movement in there. You can see that it's got a pretty good engagement. So we're going to take that off real quick. We're going to check and make sure that this is all proper and the way it should be. It's a single speed cog conversion system here. I just want to make sure that this isn't what's causing any of the creaking. I'm still like 90% sure it's right up here. And I'm going to show you that when we get there and you'll see why I'm thinking that. But let's go ahead. Let's take this off real quick and we're going to take a look and make sure that that's all good to go. Here we go. So this is an 8mm, and I just use the ratchet wrench. It's just easier for me. We'll go ahead and take these off real quick. Make sure that's all good. Quick little easy thread-in system there. Take the chainring off. Nice and easy. Quick little switch. Let's get that to pop off of there. So what we're looking at again, guys, is we're looking at this right here. We want to make sure that that's all good to go. There's no play, there's no movement in there. Engagement's good, no shifting. The lock ring is in tight. Everything looks good there. I don't even know if you guys could see that, but that looks good. Everything looks solid there. Everything moves like it should. So we know it's not that. But one of the things that we are going to do here, guys, actually, is since we got the bike off, or back wheel off, I'm sorry, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean this all up. We got some dirt and grime and all that type of stuff. And I'm just one of those people that I like to get all this stuff off of here. It's in the back. I got some tire rub even. Look at that. A little shifting at the tire. I might have to switch down to a little bit smaller tire to keep that from happening. But anyways, so get that all cleaned up. I just think it's kind of harsh on the paint and whatnot. I'm just one of those picky little people with that type of stuff. But I don't know. I think that's more worrisome than anything else. I think we might want to switch. And this is why it's always kind of good to take the bike apart, take a look and see how's everything working, how's everything running, does everything look proper the way it should. And just like that, we already found a little bit of an issue. So let's go ahead and we're going to get into the bottom bracket, and I'm going to let you guys know what I think it is here. Alright, so here's my thought. I'm thinking that one, if not both of these bottom bracket bearings have broken loose, or something along those lines. So basically we're going to do 6mm wrench. I already kind of loosened it up. It was snug, but what we're doing, we're just kind of back this out, take this crank arm off, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to spin the bike around because we're on the back side of the bike stand, and that way you can kind of see what we're doing here. So let me flip this over and we're going to go. Alright, so I hope you guys can hear me, but we're going to see if we can get this whole system off here real quick. Like I said, we're just going to take this bolt off right here. These are profile cranks, so they are super easy to kind of get them to come apart. I actually think I need a tool that I have forgotten. I'm going to grab that and we're going to knock this crank arm out here. Alright, so if you've never used profile cranks before, it's honestly one of the easiest systems, I think, to take cranks, put cranks on, take cranks off, all that type of stuff. And the reason is because it's this little handy dandy tool right here. And I'm not even 100% sure that I use it right all the time, but I use it and it works. So basically what's going to happen is this little contraption right here is going to thread right into the spindle. And I just thread it all the way in so that it's flush and up against that, because I don't really want to hit it too hard with just the threading engaged. I want this to actually be pressed against the spindle all the way. And it's going to get loud for a second here. So there we go. There's the engagement that I'm looking for. And basically all that's going to happen is we're going to take a handy dandy hammer. We're going to come in right here. It's going to get loud. And we're going to smack this. And what it's going to do is it's basically going to push the spindle away. Or push it through, actually. And again, I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to do this all by myself. So back it out just a little bit more. We're going to smack on it just a little bit. And you'll know when it's loose because it'll do that right there. Alright. So now all you got to do is you just take this piece right here. It'll unthread and this crank arm will be off with it. And I can already see right now that that bottom bracket bearing is indeed loose. Again, I think I forgot to put grease in there. And so I have my little spacers right here. These are going to come off just like that. And I'm guessing, I'm almost certain, look at that, just like that. So I was pretty sure that this is what the issue was, and sure enough it is. I'm willing to bet that the ding-dong that I am, that was so excited to build this bike and to get everything ready, if I take this off right here, I'm willing to guess, and I can already tell I forgot to put grease in there. You should always grease your bearings, grease your threads, everything like that, and that's what it was. So you should be able to hand loosen this right here. It should be nice and snug in that, and I'm 100% sure now that this is what was causing the creak right here in the bottom bracket when I was cranking. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this back on, but this time with some thread. We're going to clean up all those bearing stuff in there, and we're going to get this going. We'll go ahead, we're going to take the other side off. I'm just going to push this spindle through. I don't know if you can hear me from clear over here, but there goes that one. Since we have the whole thing apart already, we're just going to go ahead and take both bearings off. And that one also was hand loose, so huge error in judgment on my part on this whole build. I was so excited to do it that I kind of cut some corners. And sure enough, no grease on that one either. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do run BMX cranks on my dirt jumper, and I do run a BMX spindle, or not spindle, bottom bracket is the Odyssey. What do they call that? It's a threaded bottom bracket basically. It's the same thing you see on BMX bikes. It does work for the dirt jumpers. The threading is the same, so I don't have any issues with that. But we're going to clean out the threads here on everything. One of the things that you might have noticed if you're familiar with profile stuff is I didn't run the little spindle spacer that goes right here. I'm probably going to go ahead and put that in this time. We're going to have that right now. Actually, I'll show you what that is real quick here, just so you're aware. Alright, sorry for that time lapse there. Basically what it is it's these little spindles, and they go in between the bearings right inside here. And what it does is it actually keeps you from over tightening, and it presses against the bearing cup like this, and it keeps you from smashing in and pulling these bearing cup spacers through. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but you have one on this side, one on this side, and that way when if you over tighten your spindle, it doesn't smash, it doesn't pull these through or press these little cups through the inner diameter. This one right here doesn't pull those through. And I didn't put that in there. I'll probably go ahead and throw it in this time. It does get a little bit picky though as far as kind of lining it up and all that stuff. But it is definitely good to have it. So we'll throw that in this time now that we got everything apart and we're cleaning it all up anyways. Let's do it right this time. Alright, so basically what we're going to do next here is we're going to go ahead and what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of cleaning out all of the threading. I don't want any junk, any crap inside there that's going to give us any issues with rethreading the new bearings back in. Just get those nice and clean. I don't know what other people use to do it, but I just use a shop towel. Just get all that threading cleared out. Don't want any gunk, grime, any stuff in there that's going to cause any issues for you here on the other side of this process when we try to put it all back together. Looks pretty good to me at this point. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start cleaning up the threads on the cups. The cups look good anyways. We're going to lube it up. So I use the Part 2. Again, not endorsing, not promoting. They don't pay me or anything like that. It's just what I use. And I feel like if I use it, then I can tell you guys that it's good stuff or not good stuff. And so we're going to use this. We're going to thread we're going to grease the threads. Put this little spacer back in. Not back in, but in. And we're going to get these tightened down, and hopefully they'll stay tightened the proper way. Here we go. Alright. Now that we got all that set up, the threads are clean. We're going to go ahead, we're going to lube this up here. This is the vital step that I missed when I built this bike. And it may or may not have had anything to do with the issues that we ran into after the fact, but it's something you should do no matter what, and I just failed to do so, so we're going to go ahead and lube that up real good. Anything that has metal-to-metal contact, you should be putting some sort of lubricant or some sort of something on there, just to make sure that you don't get any seizing of the metal-to-metal, stuff like that. I don't really know if you have to put grease on both threadings, but I do. I just feel like the more the better. We'll put all that excess grease on the other side. Always not want not. Remember, these are reverse thread, guys, so basically one side is going to be opposite of the other, so Go ahead and we can thread that back on. And when you put these on, guys, if you're really having to force the threading in and it's cross-threading or it's doing something's going wrong on that, because the way it's set up is that it should just hand thread all the way to the point of full contact, and then you just kind of crank it in there. Again, I use the crescent wrench here. I don't know if there's another tool that makes it easier, but this is pretty darn easy for me, honestly. Just thread it in there, make sure it's nice and snug. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to switch over, do the same thing on the other side, we're going to grease it. Okay, alright, sorry about all the movement again, guys. So we got the bottom brackets threaded back in with grease this time, looking better. Same on this side, we got all that threaded back in. I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up right here real quick, and I'm going to see about this right here if I want to switch tires or not. I'm going to see if I can get this aligned a little better to eliminate that. If I can't get that done, then we're going to go ahead and switch the tires. I'm not to show you guys all of that stuff, but once we get back to, sorry, let me get this positioned here. I don't know if you can even see me. Once we get back to putting the cranks and everything back on, we'll get back to it and I'll show you all of that. But let me get this all cleaned up and decide if I want to put this wider tire back on or not, and then we'll get back to it. Alright, so I'm a bit tired. It took me a little bit. It turned out that there's actually a couple tire rubs. There's one here and one up here. My wheel is straight and true, so I think there's some shifting happening when I'm crashing and bailing, but so I did. I actually switched it to the thinner tire. I was on a 20.23 something. I went back down to the 20.21. Give us some clearance there. I did clean up the bike a little bit. Get all that dirt and stuff. Hopefully, kind of save that frame paint a little bit as well. We would go ahead and put the one side of the crank back on. We're gonna go ahead and do the other side. And my hope is that when this is all said and done now that I've shown you guys a pretty quick way to diagnose when you push down on your crank if there's a creaking noise, where to start, where to kind of get a feel for that, to determine what is causing the creaking, basically. And basically that went back on pretty good, actually. I really should use this little contraption to press this back into a good point. I'm going to use this little adapter now. This was the tool that we used to knock the crank arm off. Now we're going to put this little guy on here, and actually what it's going to do, I should just really do a separate how-to with this, but we're going to do it this way. We're going to put the crank arm back on, we're going to set the tire back on, we're going to do all that stuff, and we're going to see if we got the noise out of this. I'm pretty sure we did, honestly. I think that that noise was definitely from that bottom bracket being loose there. But let me get this all tightened up. Let me get this back rear end put back together, and then we're going to drop it from the stand. We're going to do a little crank on it and pressure with the pedals. See if we catch any noise or not. Let's get this. I'll be right back. Alright, I think we got it. So, like I said, I was pretty sure it was right down there, and I don't know if I can get this well enough, but I'm going to try. That's my brake that you hear there. No creaking, so that's good. And that's where I was hearing the noise when I did that right there. So, okay. No creaking, none of that stuff. We're gonna do one other thing. This is kind of something I just randomly do. It's a noise check for me. Solid. Basically what I do is I just kind of drop it. Make sure there's no rattling, popping, creaking. And there isn't. So, good. So we got that all worked out and everything's good to go there. So, my hope is that I kind of showed you guys a little bit about how to maintain one component of your bike anyways. We'll do more of these. We'll show you how to install a headset. We'll show you how to put tubes and tires on a wheel, maybe even simple things. Maybe we'll go into depth on how to do that bottom bracket, or sorry, the crankset. But when you're as sketchy of a rider as I am, and when you're as, flare around and throw bikes and stuff like that, it's always beneficial to know how to work on your own bikes. Not to say it's not good to take it to your local bike shop and let those guys repair it, but if I did that every time, every time that my bike got thrown or pitched or something broke on it, I'd spend more money getting it fixed than I did ever building it. So I had to learn how to do it myself and maintain my own bikes. So there you go. How to get the noise out of the creaky bottom bracket. Probably long-winded, but kind of give you a little in-depth of the lower section of the bike there and how we did everything. Guys, thanks for coming back to the channel. Hopefully you like this how-to video, and if you want to do more of them, let me know. Put a comment down there. Let me know what you want me to work on the bikes and show you guys how to do. And we'll get into it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I needed to do it anyway, so I figured it'd be a good time to show you. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you want me to work on next so you guys can learn a little bit about how these bikes are built and maintained. Otherwise, go out and ride, guys. Here's to the weekend. See you.